everyone, and Happy New Year. And welcome to a whole new year of Coast Connections here in Nanaimo, BC. And we're happy to be on the traditional territory of the Nanaimo First Nation, where we live, work, and see some incredible animals. This evening, we're going to be looking at the 10 most memorable animal stories of the year from the Nanaimo News Bulletin. And with us today, we have a friend of the show, reporter, photographer, Chris Bush from the Nanaimo Bulletin. Welcome back, Chris.
Oh, it's nice to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you. And Chris, you're a national and provincial and regional award winner with your journalism. You've been with the Bulletin since, I think, 1998?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time.
You've seen a few things.
Yeah, around Nanaimo, yeah.
Never a dull moment there at the News Bulletin, I'm sure.
Not too many, not normally.
Yeah.
Although the last couple of weeks have been kind of quiet. But anyway,
as we slide into the new year here.
But as soon as City Council starts again next week.
Into the ring we go.
That's right.
Chris, let's tell viewers about one of the most read story that not only the News Bulletin, but Black Press Media had last year in 2023.
Yeah.
This is an incredible story.
Yeah, there was a couple that live in North Nanaimo, the Thompsons. And how did it go? They woke up one morning and they were going to let their dog out. And then for some reason or other, they didn't let the dog out. I can't remember. One of them looked outside, I think, Cheryl Thompson, she looked outside and sees a cougar with its kill right in their backyard, in the corner of the backyard. So she naturally took a picture of it, and of course they called the police and conservation officers and whatever.
And this kill wasn't a bunny rabbit.
No, it was a deer.
A deer?
Yeah, it had a deer, and it was sitting there in the corner of their property guarding the deer.
Wow.
And yeah, so and things kind of went from there, and then anyway, conservation people came down, the police came down, of course, and what they had to haze the cougar to get it away from. I don't know how they hazed it. I think they used chalk bullets or something like this,
just to scare it off.
It scares it off,
yeah.
And sorry, I'm just kind of recalling this as I'm going along here. And so eventually they got it to jump over the fence, and then what they were going to try and do was heave the carcass over the fence, but apparently there wasn't enough distance. They couldn't get enough distance down this kind of embankment.
Right.
So that it would be safe for the cat and for people. So anyway, the conservation officer had to take the kill with him, dispose of it somewhere. And then, because the cougar would keep coming back otherwise, and the area there. So anyway, that's more or less the end of that. The cougar came back a couple of times, I think, looking for its kill, and then it didn't come back anymore. And but apparently that's up by Icarus Drive in Nanaimo.
Which is a very populated neighborhood. This isn't near a wilderness area or anything. This is a residential area.
That's right.
Very highly populated.
But there's a lot of green space and a lot of corridors, and apparently right there is one of the corridors for cougar and for deer and
wow.
Whatever else runs around out there back and forth to the beach. So that's where they run, and that's where they encounter, and it'll just keep on going. Other people had seen the cougar consequently too over the next couple of weeks, whatever. So it hung around the area for at least a while. They're there all the time, you know.
Ever since I read that story, Chris, every time I open the door to go in the backyard,
Yeah.
I always do a scan.
Yeah.
Because I'm always thinking, okay, I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, we get a lot of deer in our yard, so the cougar obviously are around too.
Well, as I was saying earlier, you know, when I let my dog out, we live in a rural area too, and I take a flashlight and I go out with them and I look around and I think, well, if a cougar shows up to take them, I guess I'll have to fight them. That'll be a story, whatever happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that surprisingly, people have, an amazing amount of interest in this sort of thing. And that's surprised the heck out of us. It was our #1 most read story for the entire year of everything in the paper.
Wow.
And then I think it was in the top 10, and I think that was for all of Black Press Media.
That's
for
incredible.
the year. So it was just like, you gotta, you just never know,
never know.
what'll, and these kind of things do. Anyway.
Tonight we're going to talk about a lot of the Good Samaritans that have been helping animals in our area as well. And there's some really good shout outs that we have for some really good people with really big hearts.
Yeah.
And we're going to start out with the SPCA here in Nanaimo, and a very sad story actually about some animals that were very, very badly neglected.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't do this story myself, but apparently it was they confiscated 44. Forgive me, use my notes here a bit. 44 animals, 37 small breed dogs, really cute little things.
Oh.
And which included, 7 puppies. They were puppies, forgive me, Bernedoodles and 5 cats. Anyway, but apparently the conditions that they found them in were really horrific. They described it as literally a carpet of feces. And these poor animals were just literally in urine and feces and not being cared for properly. So,
thank goodness for the SPCA.
Yeah, this was a good one.
This
right?
is a good one.
Yeah.
And there's 125 SPCAs across the country, run by 2,000 staff and 27,000 volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah, people who come out and help at the shelters and help with these animals. So we're hoping all of those animals that were rescued from that horrible place have now been adopted and found good homes after the good care that they got there at the SPCA.
Have you seen the puppies? People were lining up, apparently, to adopt these. So I know, they were cared for by a local veterinarian. Forgive me if I don't remember who it was right now, but I think it was Island Veterinary, I think. And anyway, so
that's a good news story.
They'll all find homes.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And the SPCA was established here in Canada in 1869, starting in Montreal. And it was actually Queen Victoria who sanctioned and helped to start it, along with some other people, in England in 1840. So it was to Canada not that long after. So it's been going a long time, thanks to a lot of volunteer power and a lot of big, good hearts.
I think I'm going to be calling on you from now on for background information on stories.
Oh no!
Because you have all this. You have an incredible knowledge of the backgrounds on all these organizations and whatever that we talk about. And
well, I try to do my research, and I also have Cliff Clavin on speed dial.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Now I'm dating myself. So our number 9 story is the J-pod orcas, off of Dodds and Arrows here in Nanaimo.
Yeah.
And on Valentine's Day, this lady was out for a walk. Dodds and Arrows, for those that don't know, is about 600 meters wide, very
if that.
Maybe 300.
If that even.
Very treacherous
it's quite narrow.
narrows. Yeah, here in Nanaimo.
They really run.
They really run.
They really run. Yeah.
And she was out for a run on Valentine's Day. Lindsay Bryant, I think her name was.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. Newcomer to the island, Anna Mijal.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was out there in Dodds and Arrows, new to the island.
Yep. Yeah. No kidding. I wonder where she came from.
I don't know.
I know that.
But so many of us have lived here for so long and have never seen orcas.
Yeah.
And she sees them like up close and personal, and a whole pod of them.
Yeah, they were the J-pod orcas. Yeah. And that was quite fascinating. That video was quite fascinating to see them all scooting up against the current in the Narrows there. And I don't know, have you ever hiked down there?
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. I like to go down at least once or twice a year and just bring a little lunch or something and just sit there. And it's fun. You never know what you're going to see come through.
No.
A lot of drunken boaters, but anyway.
That's another story.
That's another story. Anyway, no. The other thing about this story is apparently they were J-pod, but apparently it's not uncommon to see big killer whales come through there. They're also known as transients, which prompted me to look up, wait a minute, how many different kinds of killer whales do we have? And I never knew. I had no idea. Like there's more than a dozen different kinds of killer whales, and we've got several different kinds right here, and they don't interbreed.
No, they don't.
No, you know, and apparently I looked up these two, the J-pod and the Bigs. I hope I've got this right. And apparently they've been genetically distinct for 750,000 years. I thought, well, I learned something. You know, that was just in reading up on this story so we could talk tonight. You know, I didn't know that. You know, so you learn something every day.
You totally do.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And just to let our viewers know too, that throughout the show, we're going to be linking to other episodes that we've done sort of more in depth. So if those that are watching us on YouTube, we'll be linking to an episode that we did on the orcas, a 30-minute episode, and you can get a little more information there as well. Yeah.
All right.
And I think we're going to be doing that with the bees. Oh, sorry, I'm giving away the show now. Oops. Oops.
To be or not to be.
So good for Anna Majal, newcomer to the island.
Okay.
What a treasure that was for her.
That is so. You know, if you've ever been with anybody for the first time they've seen an orca, and the look in it, they go, wow, it's just, you know, their faces just light up, you know.
She will carry that in her heart. What a memorable Valentine's Day for her. I think that's so cool.
No kidding.
Couple more Good Samaritans here. Pip the dog, rescued by Good Samaritans. David King and Brent Murphy helped Michelle Hillier and Danny Dares on the Cable Bay Trail.
The Cable Bay Trail. Yeah,
same
popular
area.
place. Here we go. Okay. Sorry. There's a link.
So their 2-year-old little Australian Shepherd ran into a blunt object or
I guess it was running through the grass or something, you know, in some kind of a grassy or where there's ferns or whatever, and crushed its trachea. It hit that, and I guess it was just a stump or something like that sticking up. And so the poor little thing, you know, I guess, and it was like seriously injured. It would have actually died, you know, had these people not, they were friends of theirs apparently, but the two fellows carried it out. And it may sound like, you know, kind of a minor feat to carry a dog out, but that's a long way out and it's all uphill. And, you know, it's kind of hard. I don't really know.
And they were about 2 kilometers away from the car.
Exactly.
And this is, you know, upward going.
Yeah.
And they were not a young couple.
No.
Until these lovely 2 young men, Brent Murphy and David King, came along the trail.
Yep.
And assisted them.
Yeah, very good. And so anyway, that was pretty neat. But I think I was reading that dog would have been, they said probably about another 30 minutes or so. Yeah. And they probably would have lost the dog, you know. And
they got it to the Vancouver Island Emergency Veterinary Hospital. Yeah. And were able to save his life, little Pip.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was
and
nice.
what a good feeling for those 2 young guys to help out like that. And I think the one fella, David King, said, you know, he picked up the dog, was pretty light. Yeah. And he started walking with him and he said, actually, this is getting heavier every step. And realized what a task it is to walk a dog out in your arms.
That's right. Yeah. And like we said, it's all uphill. It's, you know, it's a long slog out of there. All right.
Next up, a chocolate lab was rescued by the volunteer firefighters.
Yep.
He fell 35 feet.
Yeah.
Onto a ledge, the poor little fella. Yeah.
Now, as far as I know, I don't think it was like a cliff, but I think it was a steep embankment.
Yeah.
And it managed to stop itself, or, you know, like it landed on that ledge. You saw the photo where they had to rappel down and get it. But couldn't get off. So the poor thing stuck there. And
for about 2 hours.
It was a couple of hours. Yeah,
the poor little
before
guy.
They could get out. And I got sent out to try and get a photo of this, and I couldn't find them like this. So I called. We talked to Kevin Young, the fire chief, and he. Very nice man, really, really. You know, the rural fire chiefs around here we have are they're really exemplary people. They really are. We have had some really good ones, but I won't go on about that. But so he sent us a photo and whatever that they shot while, you know.
Yeah.
And so
remarkably, Chris, that dog was unhurt.
That's
amazing after that fall.
Yeah. But again, you know, how many times we heard of dogs now, or been to scenes where dogs have fallen. They've fallen down the abyss up at the Abyss Trail, and we've had several of those where the fellows have had to go. I wouldn't want to go down in there.
The narrow crevice to
That's right.
Get those.
So they picked the small, skinny firefighters to go down.
A shout out to all the volunteer firefighters.
Oh yeah,
the skinny ones and the larger ones.
Usually it's the city that has to go for the ones up at the abyss here. Anyway, on we go. So
the sea lion versus the octopus. The battle. Whoa.
Yeah, battle royale in the again.
Yeah.
Not far from Dodd Narrows. From what I understand, it's off. I think it was off of Cedar by the Sea there.
Yeah.
And she is a woman. She goes swimming.
Lindsay Bryant is her name.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I know I should know these things, but
That's okay.
I count on you.
We're here to tag team.
I'm more of a details man. Just give me the broad strokes of the story. Anyway, forgive me. And I think she was just kind of packing up or whatever, getting ready to leave, and sees this commotion out in the water, or hears it first. And then she didn't have her good camera, she said, with her, but she had a cell phone, and so she managed to video this. And she couldn't quite tell what it was. She thought maybe it was a sea lion, I think, that was caught in a net or thrashing about at first. Yeah. And then she realized it seemed like it was an octopus and a sea lion having it out. Yeah. And she was saying that I think that it was trying to grab the sea lion by the head, which apparently they'll do if they're attacked or whatever. But in the end of the day, the sea lion was just there for lunch.
Yeah, he got some fresh sushi.
Yeah.
And it was probably a giant Pacific octopus, because those live here.
They do.
Those are big. Like I can understand why she could see that from the shore.
Yeah.
Because those can get up to 50 kilograms.
Yeah.
And a 5-meter spread. Like they're massive.
Oh yeah, they're big.
Yeah.
This is a big animal to take on.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if at any point the sea lion was worried about the outcome of
or wondered what he'd gotten into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't know. I think from what I read or saw somewhere else, basically, kind of the gross factor is he's thrashing and basically dismembering the octopus so he could consume it. Yep, basically, yeah.
The balance of nature there.
Yeah. Yeah. But it would have been something to see.
It would have been.
Yeah.
To see that from shore.
Yeah.
We're going to buzz over now to New Zealand. From New Zealand to Cedar, BC, 3.5 million bees.
That's right.
Arrived here.
Yeah. And go ahead.
What blew my mind was they arrived on a commercial flight.
Yeah.
With passengers, and the 3.5 million bees caused so much heat on the plane that all the passengers were given blankets. That blows me away, that they could create that much heat, that even the air conditioning was compromised.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
So, okay, so they had to they cooled the aircraft down? Is that what happened?
Probably that as well. But also the heat generated by that many bees. Can you imagine the buzz? Yeah. Anyway, I hope they got a discounted flight.
Why did they make a movie Snakes on a Plane? Well, they should have just done it with bees, where they break out of the cargo compartment.
Oh, buzz off.
And swarm. Okay, I'll behave myself here.
Yeah, no, anyway, swarm. Yeah, that would be
10,000. Yeah, and it was kind of interesting. I think there was, each frame. I know a friend of mine raises bees, and apparently they have 10,000 bees each
and one
in these
queen.
Frames, and one queen in each frame. Yeah. And they were on their way, I believe, to Saskatchewan.
They were.
Was it not? Yeah.
They were wintering here.
Yeah.
They arrived in March.
Acclimatizing.
Yeah, acclimatizing.
I think that was done down at Howie Davis's place down
in Cedar?
In Cedar by, was it in Cedar? Because that's North Oyster. Yeah. He's right there next to the highway. So now he can add bees to his menagerie. He usually gets the elk that come down from
Oh, yeah.
the hills and eat all his hay, and then he can't do anything about it until they go home, right? Now it's bees.
And these bees were heading to Saskatchewan to prairie farmers where the bee population had been decimated earlier. So that's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
New Zealand to North Oyster to Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
That's quite a trek.
It is when you
bees.
think about it. You know, I mean, the flight from, I think it's a nonstop flight from New Zealand to here. We see it go out over our house.
Oh, okay.
There's one that goes to New Zealand every night, and there's one that goes to Australia.
Did you notice
they're
any
a few minutes apart.
extra bees that
No
night?
extra bees. Nothing trailing behind the aircraft or anything.
From bees, we've got to move over to Bert the racing pigeon.
Oh, Bert, yes.
Bert.
Bert the racing pigeon.
What, 743 kilometers off course?
Yeah.
From
Ends up in
Nanaimo to
Williams Lake.
Poor little Bert.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah, and it said he ended up, I believe it was, I was reading earlier, it was the Dog Creek First Nation. So somebody's
Another
property
good
there.
Samaritan.
And apparently he was hungry and, emaciated and thirsty and tired, and he was looking for help from humans. You know, it's kind of funny how well, he was raised by humans, I guess it sort of makes sense, but in that, and then the SPCA people again came out and got him and kind of nursed him back to health and then got him back down to Nanaimo.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. But what makes a racing pigeon go north?
Exactly.
In this case,
How did he get off course?
Yeah.
And apparently they don't navigate by sight. They navigate using the magnetic fields of the Earth.
I remember reading that.
And within their beak are some kind of magnetic things that they communicate with the magnetic fields, and that's how they navigate. Astonishing.
That is, when you really think about it, how, and it does. I'm always amazed at how differently animals very often are tuned into their world than we are.
Yes.
It's like, what's the dog looking out the window?
Yeah.
Well, who knows? But he senses something out there.
Yeah.
How,
So much more attuned than we are.
Oh, yeah, they are. And like we say, to completely different things. And in this case, who would think, that pigeons navigate by the magnetic field around the earth, like.
There's actually the Canadian
scratcher.
Racing Pigeons Union. People can go to their website for more information on that. And we're hoping to have them on our show this year as well, learn more about racing pigeons.
Okay.
Right now, Chewy the alpaca on the lamb. Rounded up by the RCMP.
Yes. Yeah, they were having a bit of fun with that one. I can tell you that Gary O'Brien, the RCMP spokesman for Nanaimo here, he had a lot of fun with his press release in that one. We had to dial him back a little bit. But anyway, for some reason or other, Chewy, and I don't know why he was named Chewy.
Don't know, maybe because he's as furry as Chewbacca?
I have not a clue. Not a clue. I didn't think he looked anything like Chewbacca, but anyway, but he got loose, and he's roaming around out there in South, basically, I guess it was Cassidy, South Wellington area, at Timberlands, roaming in there. And I think, what did they say, South Wellington or Timberlands? I can't remember.
And it was like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Like the poor little fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they catch him, and I love the shot they got with him caught in the headlights, standing in the middle of the road.
I know. Dazed and confused.
Yeah.
Nanaimo's most wanted.
Yes. And, I can just, anyway, the police, they apparently used their vehicles to kind of
corral him,
herd him back to, to his home property. And I guess the owner got him back in and was very happy to get him back by about 3 a.m.
Oh, I bet Chewy was happy too.
He probably was. I mean, I have, you never know what scares them or what, what
maybe a cougar.
Yeah, well, it could have been, or a bear or something, and off he went. But apparently he was headed toward the highway.
Not a good place for an alpaca. Chloe the cat from Orillia, Ontario.
That was a heartbreaker.
Heartbreaker story.
Yeah.
So this lady was on a cross-Canada trip.
She was
with her car.
85 years
Oh.
old. She had just lost her husband.
Oh.
Her cat was her best and kind of almost only friend. And the reason she was coming out here was because she had promised, her husband and she had planned to do this, to make a trip across Canada all the way out to the West Coast. So she was just honoring that and decided, well, I'm going to take Chloe with me.
Yeah.
And made it all the way out to Nanaimo here. Bought,
like 4,200 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bought fuel, got off the ferry, bought some fuel for her car, and then wanted to, I guess she stopped down at Port Place to get a couple of things. And it comes back to the car or whatever and realizes her cat's not there. He's gone. Chloe. So anyway, and she looked for him. She slept in her car that night, apparently, hoping he'd come back. And she stayed roaming, kind of not roaming around, but searching for him around the area in the parking lot, and ends up stumbling and falling. And she had to be hospitalized because she had fallen on her face and I think had done some damage to her arm and whatever. And in the meantime, you know, I think it was the nurses at the hospital, one of the nurses took down all the information and got a picture of Chloe and got in touch with, I think, the SPCA and Catnap. Because Kathy,
Catnap Society.
Yeah, Catnap Society.
More Good Samaritans.
Yeah, they've been, now there's another one, eh? They've been around for a long time just helping stray cats, you know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this poor woman drove all the way back without her cat. Can you imagine how that it was terrible, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway.
And then they found the cat. We just a couple minutes
woman
left
who,
here.
experiencing homelessness downtown, and because there's all the construction going, and heard the cat meowing inside the engine compartment of a piece of heavy machinery. It was a compactor or excavator or something. And so the workers around there pop open the engine cover and they get the cat.
There's Chloe.
And that's where Kathy Bard, I think, got involved. Came down, got the cat right away, Chloe. And then as it turned out, one of her compadres at Catnap happened to be going back to see family in Orillia, Ontario, and where this woman lives, and took the cat back. So it had a happy ending, you know.
Did.
Yeah. No, I thought that was a wonderful story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it really
beautiful
was.
one.
Yeah.
And our happy ending has arrived as well, Chris.
Oh.
We didn't get to our number one animal, which is Camus the marmot,
Camus the marmot.
endangered mammal in Canada.
Yeah.
But not to worry, we're going to do an episode about marmots following this one. So we'll get to that one. Chris,
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for joining us. Any parting words before we leave here today?
I don't really, you know, take care of your animals. Be kind to animals, right? You know, like this. You know, what else can you say? I don't know what else to say, really. You know,
Thank you, Chris, for your good reporting, and happily cycling. I know you're an avid cyclist, and keep those good stories coming. We really appreciate what you do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and watch out for animals, be kind to animals, and we will see you next time on Coast Connections to talk about marmots.